So these are my MMA awards for 2023. Just getting it in before the end of the year. And I definitely am going to have some more unorthodox, unusual categories, but I think that's honestly what makes this so much fun. But the first category is the most underrated fighter, and this is going to go to Alexandra Pantoja. I think that he is by far the most underrated fighter in the UFC and in all of mixed martial arts, because he is maybe not the most defensively responsible in his fights. He gets hit a lot, but I think that does a lot of times cover up and take away from how talented he really is. Whenever you look at a champion is someone who can kind of mold around their opponent. It's not someone who is necessarily amazing at one thing and can kind of just implement that the best, but it's someone who can see a great striker and say, okay, I'm going to wrestle this guy to win. Oh, this guy is a great wrestler. I'm going to keep it standing and strike him, to win. And I think that someone like that is really like a John Jones or Demetrius Johnson. Just super well-rounded guys, and that's really who Pantoja is someone who can see someone who maybe he's on par with the striking, but take him down, like in his last championship defense. And that's why he wins this award. The next one is the most overrated, and I will have to give this, unfortunately, to Aljamain Sterling. I think he is very, very, very overrated. And the reason for this is because no one really gave him any kind of respect. You would even put him on the most underrated, but the only reason why he got to where he's at whenever it comes to being champion and all this kind of stuff is because he defended the belt 3 times. But whenever you look at these defenses, it's not very impressive. And the reason why is because whenever he fought, let's say, Henry Cejudo, very, very impressive. That, to me, that's by far the most impressive win that he had. But whenever you look at the other guys that Aljamain Sterling defended his belt against, I mean, we're talking about, Petr Yan, and again, I would say that's another actually very good defense. So those are really 2 great defenses. But again, they weren't really dominant. And that's really the main problem with those, is that whenever you look at a great champion, like, again, a John Jones, someone like that, or even really an Anderson Silva, they're going to have tough fights, but it's not going to be every single time. It's not even going to be close to every single time. And whenever you're looking at the greatest title defenses in, your title defense record being just razor thin close fights to where it really could have gone either way, it's not super impressive. And then the other 2 obviously being TJ Dillashaw, where his shoulder is popping out. To me, that's just not him winning the belt in the first place the way that he did, and then defending razor close, fighting against a guy with basically 1 arm, not impressive. Again, not his fault, but just not impressive. And then barely beating Henry Cejudo, great win, but again, just not impressive at all. And whenever people are saying that he's the greatest bantamweight fighter of all time, to me, it's just so not the case, in my personal opinion. And whenever, Sean O'Malley knocks him out, it's like, yeah, no, it's super impressive by Sean O'Malley, but it's like, he's not the greatest. And if that's the greatest in your weight class, it's a very, very thin weight class, in my opinion. But he wins our award for the most overrated. The most wholesome moment award, I'm going to have to give this, it's very, very close, but I'm going to have to give this to Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler, that was just, that's how every single UFC fighter wants to go out, is just with, an amazing highlight reel. And not even just a highlight reel, but like all the moments and everyone, talking about how amazing you are. The whole MMA community just loves Robbie Lawler, and that was amazing. The obvious runner-up to this, and in some of these I'll give runner-ups or honorable mentions, but in some I won't, if I don't think it's, necessary. But in this, it's absolutely necessary, and it's obviously Korean Zombie. That is exactly how that fight should have gone. The better fighter won, but to end the career like that, that is the way that you want to go out. And that is something that the fans really appreciate. They appreciate a guy who goes in there, who sees it as a life or death situation. Again, I've said it before, but it's like the reason why we like watching fights so much is because this goes back to whenever we lived in tribes, and whenever, tribe leaders would face off against each other. And if your tribe leader didn't win, your tribe was enslaved to the other tribe. So it's like that, it's just ingrained in us. And whenever we see someone who doesn't go in there and give it their all, to the death and everything, like, obviously there's a referee, they're going to stop it, it's safe and everything, but like, you have to have that mentality. And not to get, too crazy into like the weeds and everything, but whenever you see somebody like a Leon Edwards and you know that they can finish the fight and they don't, that's what's so frustrating about fighters like that. Fighters who grind out decisions. Like, just like that guy from Georgia, Marab, I think is his name. But, Aljamain Sterling's best friend. He's another guy who just like grinds out decisions, and that's why people don't like him. Anyways, that is my favorite thing about this, though, is that everyone loves Korean Zombie, because even whenever he knows that he's down and out, he's like, you know what, I'm going to go into the fire. And you know what, I might get knocked out, but you know what, I might knock him out. And it's worth it. That's that chance that you could win the fight. It just lets us know that it is all or nothing for him. And I love that. And the same thing for Robbie Lawler. The most cringe moment of 2023, man, there are a lot of them. Obviously, MMA, they produce a ton of cringe moments, and that's probably another reason why we love MMA. But I'm going to have to give it to Colby Covington talking about Leon's dad, because Colby comes out there and he almost wins like the award for like the funniest, comes out there and like just everything about Colby's cringe, and that's what makes him funny. But then he comes out there and like he misses up the hairline line and then he like just goes nuts and's like, oh man, I messed that up. And he just like lashes out at Leon, who's just sitting there, and it was the most cringe. I was just like, oh, like why? Like no one thought it was funny. No one thought it was clever. It was just, and this is the biggest difference I think between Colby and a Chael Sonnen or a Conor McGregor. And this is the biggest difference between the old Conor who was funny and the new Conor who's just like mean. And it's not fun anymore. But that to me is the most cringe. Close number 2 and an honorable mention, I would say, would be Israel Adesanya talking to Sean Strickland after getting beat, and begging him to not talk about his dog. Like that is just, to me, that's the funniest thing. It's funny, but it's so cringe. It's like, Israel, just let it happen. You got beat. He's probably not going to talk about it, but you like just begging him is just, it's sad. Anyways, best stare down of 2023. This is obviously got to be Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prohaska. I mean, the stare downs before the fight, but then obviously the stare downs during the fight. I mean, my goodness, if that's not number 1, then I don't know what is. Most improved fighter is definitely Sean Strickland. And I mean, that was evident just because he got knocked out, by Alex Pereira, but honestly, he just got caught. I mean, I think he probably got caught by shots from Israel Adesanya, but again, they just don't have the same power, just one-shot power, as Sean Strickland. But I think in addition to that, he added certain wrinkles in his game, that I thought were very impressive as well. Again, he was good at checking leg kicks before, but again, just everything I think went up another level after he got knocked out. A lot of people, they might, kind of just sit on, where they're at, but Sean got better. And I would say that, yeah, he, in 1 year, he goes from getting knocked out and nowhere in the title picture to winning the championship. The runner-up I have for this, is Dricus du Plessis. And that's honestly really cool that both of the most improved fighters of 2023 are going to be fighting each other, like I think in January, right? Early next year, definitely. And that's going to be awesome. I think his surgery really was the reason for that. Really, his skills didn't change too much, but really just that endurance, and that's really what he needed. Then we'll get to the biggest, I would say, awards of the night, and that'll be the best male fighter of the year, and I'm going to give that to Sean Strickland. He had 3 wins, I believe, in 2023, and obviously his best being against Israel, and the runner-up will be Alex Pereira. I was about to give it to Alex Pereira, honestly, until I realized that his biggest wins were, or a big win was in 2022. A lot of his big wins were in 2022. And that basically in 2023, he did get knocked out, but then he won, the light heavyweight championship. So I'll have to give him the that one, the runner-up, the honorable mention. Then best female fighter, honestly, I'm just, at least right now, I'm not very impressed by, in 2022, 2021, 2020, the female divisions were actually doing really, really well. But then, like, in 2023, Amanda Nunes defended her belt, great, did it one time. And then Alexa Grasso, she wins the title, and then she doesn't really even defend. It was a draw against Valentina, where, to be honest, I think Valentina probably won the fight. So that was kind of So I again, for best female fighter, I give it to Alexa Grasso, but I don't know. I'm not entirely impressed by the female fighters. Again, winning one fight in it's kind of sad that winning one fight in 2023 gets you the Fighter of the Year award. But you know what? It kind of is what it is. But whenever we'll go down the list. Best commentator, John Anik. The runner-up is Laura Senko, and she's amazing. Laura Senko is she's up and coming, and I think one day she's going to be at that upper echelon of UFC commentators. Best new star will be Shavkat Rakhmonov, obviously. Before 2023, he was kind of, again, like a prospect and everything, but nowadays he is an absolute star, and I think that he will absolutely win the belt in 2023. It's just a matter of time. Best upset of the year will be Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. Close number 2 will be Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. And again, that'll be super interesting, seeing the two underdogs go at it. KO of the year is definitely going to be Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. But close number 2 will be Bryce Mitchell versus Josh Emmett. Submission of the year will be John Jones to Cyril Gane. The reason why is because it was just such a big fight. And yeah, he made it look easily. Yeah, Gane is probably not the best on the ground, but to dominate a world-class fighter the way that he did after being off for so long is just, to me, it's impressive. And it doesn't matter what happens at this point. Up to this point, John Jones is definitely the GOAT, and that just proves it. He proved it before, but now he proved it again. Decision of the year is Sean Strickland, by far, just dominating the entire fight. Obviously, it was a shock, but even if we thought that they were like, even if we thought it was going to be close, that was just, it was so dominant. And then finally, the most anticipated fight of the year for 2024, going into 2024, in my opinion, will be John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Okay, so the reason why I put this as my most anticipated fight of 2024 is because, yes, I know that for some reason, like, Dana White never does, he never does, like, favors for anybody, but for some reason he felt that he needed to do a favor for John Jones and Stipe Miocic, so I guess that'll happen. But the fight that I want to see the most in 2024 is heavyweight John Jones, because to me, he's not out of his prime yet for heavyweight. Maybe at light heavyweight, but at heavyweight, I say he's in his freaking prime. Like, John Jones has the potential to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. But the thing is that beating Stipe and going off into the sunset will certainly not do that. And to be honest, I think that John Jones will not ride off into the sunset. I do not think that, because I think that he doesn't really have a whole lot to do outside of fighting. He doesn't have commentating. He doesn't have, a big YouTube channel or anything. I think he'll get bored. And I think he will stay inside the UFC. And especially if he's continuing to do as well as he's doing, he will absolutely stay. Or, to be honest, if he loses, I think he'll stay because, there'll be fire there. But that is the fight that I want to see. Whenever John Jones beats Stipe, which I think that he will, I absolutely think that that'll be the most anticipated fight. It might even be later in the year. It might even be, fall or winter of 2024. But that is my most anticipated fight. Close runner-up would be Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. I think that'll be a big fight. It'll be, to me, it's way less just because it's really not for anything. But I did want to give that a nice little shout-out. But yeah, so I think 2023 was a great year for the UFC. It was a great year for other fight promotions as well. But I think 2024 is going to be amazing. I think there's so many great fights, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much again for watching, listening. And again, I will try to get out at least one of these per week. So yeah, continue to like and subscribe, and just come back. And again, feel free to leave comments as well. Like and subscribing is great and everything, but I love seeing comments. I know in some of the earlier videos I had more comments. Love to see those and just kind of like chat in the comment section about these things. So yeah, thank you very much again for watching, and Happy New Year.